What's up? Today I'm going to share with you 5 tips of things you can do to sell your business easier and for more money. Now, if you don't know who I am or what my name is, I'm Brody Vinson, and I actually consult businesses on how to do this regularly. But today I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm actually going to share key highlights from an interview I did with a business broker who's been selling businesses professionally for years. He's going to share with you actual stories and tips from businesses he's actually sold, where you can actually take these tips away and put them into your business to sell for more.
His name is Andrew Ornosky, and I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
I got into the space when I was about 19. I sold my first business, just kind of focusing on what small businesses, restaurants, wood roofing companies, wood plumbing companies, just all local companies, and got really good at just the sell side. And I saw that there wasn't a lot of people that were really helping on the sell. There's a lot of people on social media that want to help you start the business, but nobody talks about the exit. And so over the last 5 years, we built a very good brokerage where we educate buyers on the acquisition, but also show sellers the pathway to a successful exit. And so that's been our mission over the last 5 years. And over the 5 years, you really start to see what attributes make it successful and those that don't. And so I think our ability to really educate people on this is very important.
So the first thing that we talked about is a business he sold that had a really great management team and system for keeping employees that ultimately allowed them to sell.
My favorite example of this one was in a business that we sold based in Wood, New Jersey. It was a cookie business, so they made cookies, but the owner lived in Florida. The business was located in Wood, New Jersey. The owner did a really good job in making the employees almost evangelical about working in this little cookie store, to the point where the employees were there for over 5 years. They were very committed to the mission. They knew the values. For the buyers that came in, that was really their favorite thing, because not only can it be run absentee, but the team, like, they had no worries that anybody would ever leave because they all loved it so much. And with that being said, which we'll probably get into a bit later, but she had very good systems to kind of teach any buyer coming in how to hire correctly and how to keep them on longer term as well, which was really her success to be able to operate it from across the country. I think in any business, employees is probably the hardest part. And especially when you're buying a business and it has employees that are key to the success, your biggest worry is that they're going to leave. And so when you're buying a business and you know that the employees have been there for over 5 years, you know that they love working there, even with the pay being low, even with all the stuff, of course, for the type of business, you know that they love it so much that they want to see it succeed. And I think as a buyer, especially when I'm buying a business personally, it's really good to know that the people that you're buying into with have the same mission, the same goals, and they also want to see it succeed just as much as you do as a buyer.
The next thing I wanted to know about is how important it was to have strong systems and standard operating procedures in the business. And he told me a little bit about that.
My favorite example of this was a auto glass repair company we sold based in Oregon. He owns one of the largest in a region, doing over $7 million in sales, just a good business. Now, his background was with the military. And so in the military, as you know, is very, very disciplined, a lot of systems. And he brought that same mindset into his business so that everything was very detailed and clear in a handbook. So every employee that came on, they read this book. It was everything laid out perfectly. The food marketing, finding clients, the doing a job for a client, how to treat the client, how to run the back office for assistants. Like, everything was very detailed and clear, to the point where his goal, like you said too, was to make it like a franchise. And I think if you've ever read the book E-Myth, the whole goal of that book is to teach how to build your business like a franchise. Because the more franchises like, the more repeatable the systems are internally, the better the business is and can be sold. And so he followed that down to a T. Very good business. For buyers coming in, I mean, it was like buying a franchise. And so there was no confusion on what needs to happen. And I think that's perfect for any business to have.
The next thing I wanted to know about from him is how important it was to have an organized database of customers and repeat business.
Repeat customers, repeat clients leads to predictable income. But when you have those customers organized in a database, online especially, any buyer coming in can know that I have a list that I can contact right away. It's all organized for me. I can send emails to them day one. There's ways to contact them with a sales team day one. And when you're selling a business and you don't have these things documented, buyers feel like they're just buying something that, sure, it has customers that call in, but how do I know who called in last week? Like, how do I know like who called in 6 months ago? How can I call them back? You know, and so being able to have you documented, I think, leads directly into what we just talked about previously as well.
Another thing I wanted to ask him about is just how important it was to be getting referrals in a business.
Putting systems in place to increase referrals is important for business as well. Referrals, I think, in general, are based upon positive experiences with each customer, but having ways to just incentivize sending in referrals is a really positive way to just not only increase the cash flow, of course, but it does make it a very attractive feature for a buyer, and it's just a really good practice in general for business.
Have you seen any like particular good examples from a business owner that's had something like that in place that worked well?
The only example I can think of right now is we had a business that was a content site, and when they sold products through affiliate, they had ways to say if you bought this product and you sent over with somebody new, then you got 10% off that next purchase. So like really easy, simple things like that are nice. Very similar to things that we do as well in our current business. So
Okay, so you heard from Andrew firsthand that the businesses he's sold had some things working for them that allowed them to sell. To recap what you heard from him, number one that he talked about was having a strong team with employee retention systems. Number two was having strong systems through standard operating procedures. Number 3 and 4 were having an organized database of customers and having predictable revenue. And number 5 was having organic growth through referrals. Now, there's a lot more that's important when you go to sell a business, but these are some of the things that Andrew found most valuable. Now, if you found this valuable, go ahead and hit subscribe so you can hear more about stuff like this in the future from me.